It was an intense experience. If I could describe it with a word, I would say intense.
Fortunately, Austin Energy has had an improving outage conditions to include substantially improved customer outage counts as compared to 24 hours ago. However, we will continue to face challenges today and into tomorrow as encroaching weather is likely to cause or contribute to further customer outages.
That Monday of February 15th, and that's when the ERCOT load sheds began, and that's what made it completely different than a classic winter storm. So we have no choice but to execute those, and we did those to the best of our ability, and when allowed, we restored services as best we could, as quickly as we could, as safely as we could.
Well, the first directive or two, I was thinking, I was very confident, this is nothing, we've got this, we've trained on these scenarios, and some of the other operators maybe have even executed these scenarios in the past. But then as the directives started coming one after the other, I started feeling kind of a little bit queasy, because they were coming very, very quickly. So I knew that they were having trouble keeping frequency up. Once we shed over half of our manual load shed circuits, I knew that we weren't going to be able to rotate in and out, like we want to do to alleviate that those outages for our customers. We want to get customers on. That's our philosophy in system operations. It's reliability is number one, and with the customers out for that long, in those frigid temperatures, our concern were for the customers.
So as part of the communications team, it's our job to share stories that help inform and educate the community. We knew that if we went out and captured our crews in action, captured them talking about what they were experiencing, we'd be able to tell a better story to our customers, to the community about this horrific storm. I think one of the hardest messages was explaining to them how this very complicated thing works, something that they didn't have any idea beforehand, and having to tell that to people when they might not be able to receive our messages digitally, when they had bigger concerns, their pipes were bursting, or they were trying to keep warm, or they were trying to keep their animals warm, they were trying to find food. So being able to relay those important messages when all of these other things were going on was really, really challenging.
We were 24/7 for 8 days straight, just going. Operations, my heart's out to you guys. Some of them had to work 24-hour shifts. It was nuts because people couldn't get in. I was fortunate where I drove it every day. I took a chance, but that's my job.
We felt like, this is the first time we've actually felt in our lives that we were like first responders. And because it was that important. We needed that power. Everyone needed that power, and that's kind of how we feel about it.
It was tough. It was a task with all the snow, the ice, the power lines, the water. We never skipped a beat. We kept it going. We were strong. We were Austin strong. Austin Energy should be proud. Hold our heads up high. All the outside guys, the T&D boys, it's tough.
Let's get this done promptly, let's get this restoration done, but let's get it done safely and constructively, which we were able to do.
This was a whole nother monster, and it kept snowing. and we thought it was going to ease up, and it didn't.
And we're all in the creek side, and I took pictures of when I was boomed up in the air and the snow was falling, and it was just had to be at least 2 or 3 feet of snow on the ground. And then I can pan over and I can see my other coworker on the pole, and it's just snow just falling in between us, and it was crazy.
My safety goggles were like a windshield, and so I had to keep wiping them off because the snow just kept, piling up. So, I actually had to, pull them down a little bit just to be able to get a good glimpse of some of the guys on the pole, and it was surreal for sure. Some people lived in the green belt, so we're trekking in the green belt and cutting down trees that are, super heavy with all the ice. I had no idea how heavy those trees were, but that was tough.
Whenever something like this happens, you really got to be mentally and physically prepared, because you don't know when it's going to happen. So whenever it does happen, you're gonna be getting tugged on 8 different ways to get this circuit on, that circuit on, switched around, people back on. And back at home, you gotta make sure you got plenty of firewood and stocked up with food.
So I'm just in awe and impressed and inspired by my coworkers, and being a young apprentice, man, it gives me something to aim for.
Have good boots, warm clothes. Once your feet get wet, you get grumpy, you get mad at your crew gets mad at you, and then so good boots, good morale.
Just keeping your toes warm, because once your toes got wet and cold, it was all downhill from there.
It's my job to, mobilize and activate all of the customer care work groups into the areas where we need them most.
That week was a tough week for the contact center. There definitely was a high demand as far as call volume, as far as escalations, just dealing with, customers' emotions and trying to really kind of empathize with them and trying to put yourself in, the customer's shoes as far as the situations that they were going through with the winter storm.
It was an all around, all hands on deck. So I also took on the role of immediate support for the front line. So I was answering escalation questions, I was taking escalation calls, I was answering just basic, what do we do with this,
Even though, we're essential and we know that we're here to service our customers, we're also, in some cases, customers and also people who were impacted by this storm. And so we had a lot of our workers who were personally impacted. We're all here as a team. We're here with a collective job and mission as an organization to help our customers, but we should also work to check on each other and help each other if needed. And so we were really just, kind of waiting. Okay, when can we get our customers back on? When can we tell customers that, yes, we're out there and we're working to get them re-energized? And so I think it's that collective sigh of relief that we can now get the job done.
I just feel like that bright spot was when it was over. Like when we were able to really see the map and see customers getting restored, I think that probably was the happiest moment of all of our lives. And the sun literally came out, like literally. I think that was the bright spot of the whole situation.
Get to know your neighbors, because there was a time when my family was stuck where they were at, and a neighbor was able to make a run to the grocery store and help other people as well. And so you never know in a situation like that what kind of trouble you might be in or your neighbors might be in, and you might be the person to be able to help someone.
To be prepared, right, for storms and emergencies. And when you think that you are prepared, prepare more. My neighbors and us on Facebook and next door, there was calls to help. So, does anyone have any extra water? And does anyone have eggs? And so folks were putting things out on their porches to kind of help each other. And so that's citizens helping citizens, neighbors helping neighbors. And so even though as an essential employee for Austin Energy and City of Austin, I'm also, I was an essential neighbor as we worked to help each other kind of get through this storm.
I remember seeing a Home Depot bucket full of fresh eggs that someone had brought in to an Austin Energy facility at the start of the storm because they knew food was going to be hard to come by at the beginning of that storm. And at least those eggs might be enough to get us through until we were able to secure food a few days later. That was just mind-blowing to me. So I think I saw so many instances of people caring about each other, caring about the community, and caring about their families. It was really touching.